I don't think you need any kind of special permit.
They wouldn't need a special permit for that because it would be under what they're approved for.
Under the threshold.
But is that use considered?
Different use is what you're saying? I would still fall under tasting in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, particularly think we need to see
No, if they want to have a sip.
if they want to paint. I think we would want to see, or the building department would want to see if they're going above and
Above the
beyond
occupancy.
what we initially approved them for.
Yep. I think the main thing is just that the key thing there is the occupancy.
They want to have a water balloon fight with 199 people, let them have a water balloon
listen.
fight while sipping
Make sure you buy me.
whiskey. I mean, does that make sense, Kelly? Or
So I'm gonna take Natalie's comment and to say that basically they cannot exceed the maximum occupancy that would be approved by this board, but that it must, whatever, I don't wanna use the word event, but for right now I will, but whatever event, if they have any, that they would be holding, basically, it still needs to be tied to the.
Tied to their
You know,
business.
when you go to a sip and paint at a winery, you're drinking their wine.
right?
And I'm only using that as an example because.
Yeah, no,
it's sip and
exactly.
paint. So.
But if they wanted to have like a classic car show or something like that, that wouldn't necessarily be tied to their.
Yeah. Or
Use.
if they wanted to have like kids' arts and crafts, I don't know how that would be tied to a farm distillery.
No, so as long as it encompasses their use and it's within the occupancy limit they were set to, then everything else they would have to go and get their approval like everybody else would.
So does it make sense to kind of specify that in the law then? Like special events would be permitted as long as it's tied to the distillery operations
The
or
primary use of the,
yeah, consumption of, well, I
You
mean,
have to drink while you're there. You have to drink.
but then you gotta be careful, yeah, you know, but I'm just saying, so. Yeah, exactly. Leave your keys at the door, you know.
Village law says I have to drink when I go to the distillery.
Can't wait to go up and tell my wife that one.
Uh-oh. So not exactly that then, right? Yeah.
Law license, not that license.
Yeah.
They have special events though, they're not permitted to put up an extra tent or anything like that.
Well, any
Or
extra
is that
tent
within
if they
the
needed
other-
to, something like that, would end up going to the building department anyway, because they would need to, get a tent permit for that.
Like the nation fair that was proposed.
Honestly, I think I would probably just defer to Mike to see whatever it's for. Is it because they were already scheduled to have a little sip and paint outside and it's 90 degrees, so they wanna put a tent? I don't know.
Or there's a lot of rain coming or something like that.
I mean, I think that's where the building
Yeah, a lot of
inspector's
it uses discretion.
We just want to, I think what we want to capture is that all of a sudden they want to have Led Zeppelin play there one night, and, you know, we want to make sure that,
We'll be there.
oh,
Somebody needs to watch to make sure they don't exceed capacity.
are you volunteering for that one?
I think I would.
We'll get you a little, and Phil will be there too. We'll get Phil a little vest and a baton, and he can sit there with his clicker. He can see his traffic plan in action.
And he can go hotel.
On-the-job training.
And Natalie can be there to make sure everybody drinks.
Make sure this is fair.
I'll be good for that, you know.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
wear that hat. Yes, what Kelly said. The next one had to do with whether or not food services could be permitted and if the board would consider whether third-party vendors like food trucks should be permitted, and if so, are there any reasonable restrictions on those operations? So I know, like, for instance, in Woodbury Common, when you guys considered the food truck application, you know, there were restrictions on queuing of pedestrians, and specifically because it was gonna be in a high-traffic, you know, area, but, you know, you might ask for an applicant before you to show where a food truck might be located on the site to see if it's appropriate. You know, again, if you would permit that as part of this consideration.
I think is that like a normal thing with distilleries now? They have one or two food trucks.
They all have food trucks. You know, one up in Monroe right there on 17.
I mean, so would you say they could have a reasonable amount, like 3 or 4, anything above that?
I mean, I think shouldn't it be based on the
Right.
approval that they come in front of us?
Right, like considered as part of the site plan, where would they
Yeah,
be
okay.
located and how are you, you know, managing queuing
You know,
and
that if they want to have a
refuse
food truck
collection.
festival, then it would be a special event.
Right,
and they
so
would have
if-
we need approval for
If
that.
they came in front of the planning board, they would say, well, if normally we're gonna have 1 or 2 food trucks, this
Yeah.
is where we would put them.
Yep.
Yeah, but if people are drinking, it's a good idea to have food available.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, I'm not definitely opposed.
So, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I was saying, I don't think that needs necessarily unless the board wants it as part of the law. But if they're proposing a food truck, they need to show it to you and show it on the site plan.
Right.
You would need to approve where it is. I will say that some places say, well, we're gonna prohibit food service at a place like this. But actually, New York State requires food to be served with certain.
yeah, you have to have certain, at bars and stuff, so you have to have some sort of food there, right? So it's the same.
Yeah, so like if you go to a casino and you're not in a restaurant, but you're getting booze, they have to be able to serve you something. Whether it's microwaving in the back, I don't care, they have to be able to serve something, so. Did you want me to put anything in about food trucks, or is it just an understanding that if they do want them, that has to be part of their site plan?
Yeah, I think that's I think what the board is saying. If they want them, they're just part of their site plan approval. Or they'd have to come back and,
Or alternatively, I don't know if you guys want to consider this or not, but you could say in the law, like, provisions for providing food, or I can't think of another word for food right now, but provisions for providing food to, like, patrons should be shown or identified as part of the applicant's submission or something like that. That way, if it's something internal to the building, then that's the way they're doing it, or if it's food trucks, then they're showing it on the plan. I think,
oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, if you make it explicit, then it memorializes it, even if we have a turnover in the board.
that's one reason, and also the applicant might not be considering that when they're before you, and then, 2 months down the line, they want a food truck and they have to come back or go through the process with the building department.
Yeah, I think that, because that's good, because that captures either if they have like a small cafe in the place, or they just rotate through vendors on the weekends.
We talked about the parking, so just strike number 7, and number 8, I think also is kind of struck because the maximum occupancy. And then the last thing I wanted to just mention, and again, I'm not exactly sure what this was tailored to, if you will, but for instance, what I'm getting at in this comment is if a winery and a distillery were to be on the same lot because they are 2 separate special permit uses, and I don't know if this will happen or if this is something to consider or not, but the lot area would basically have to be the sum of required for both of those uses, unless it's waived as part of the law, or offered a variance by the ZBA if they go to
In other
proceed
words,
that
we're not
route.
gonna double the space.
Well, you would need,
Winery, distillery.
you would need, right, because you would need 20 acres
Yeah.
to have a winery
exactly.
and a distillery.
Yeah, I don't think they should both be on the same.
I think it should be together.
So you're saying if it required 20 acres for the farm winery and 20 acres for the farm distillery, that you would be fine if it was 20 acres for both?
Yes.
Okay, so they would not be considered separate?
They would be considered separate uses. What is it, subordinate or accessory uses of each other, or?
It's 2 principal uses on one lot, yeah.
So we'll be allowing 2 principal uses on,
Then it is co-located.
I don't know, are they ever together? I don't have experience.
I mean, it's a great business concept if we want to get into it, right? You got wine and a distillery. I mean,
You double your customer base.
what are we missing? Beer? So,
Talking about the cider business.
What a distilleries always say
They have
beer.
hard cider and a distillery, don't they?
yeah, I think they do. So again, but if the way it's written now, if they wanted to do that, they would have to have double the space to have both of those things there. I don't think we want to do. I think if someone wants to do distillery and a winery, I think they, whatever the requirements are for one would be
What,
good.
for the other?
Because again, that's all the parking, everything's gonna be covered by
Maximum.
maximum occupancy.
Right.
That's it.
We'll share with class.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about a different place and different regulations.
All right, so I think
Not
we're,
related to farm distilleries.
so I think the board is recommending that it be treated together, not have to be doubled
Okay.
for both. Any other questions, comments, feedback, concerns, emotional outbursts?
What's the first drink, sir?
All right,
Motion to authorize report?
I'll draft
Don't draft.
it.
All right.
Sweet. I'll make a motion to authorize council to draft our comment, a letter for our
I will
comments.
second
For a
what
second,
you're
any
trying to say.
questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
It'd be
and
funny if that didn't pass, because they were like, no, you said you were drafting.
you wouldn't want a memo from me. You'd be sitting there going, what does that word say? Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.